Good morning. My name is Tom. I come to you from the great state of Maine. Well, we're still in we're in the mode of going down memory lane. I need some videos built up because fishing season is here. And the only way that I can keep them in front of you guys is if I build up a few once in a while, especially when I got a trip coming. I've been sick, so I have fallen behind in my videos as far as you like to have. It's like having a little bit of money in the bank. You like to have a couple of videos in the bank for the weeks that you're sick. Like I've been sick for the last week and a half. But I'm getting ready for a massive lake trout fishing trip, salmon trip. So I've got to have you guys some videos, so here we are. I ended the last video on a fishing trip, which so we're gonna pick up right there where I ended up with the fishing trip, and you can go find all these videos in the playlist. We're gonna make a playlist of memory lane, state of Maine memory lane, something like that. I haven't done it yet, but that's just gonna be the idea anyways. So we'll just see how it goes, and you guys like it, leave a comment, hit the like button. Share the video, subscribe, do whatever you got to do to make sure that I know that you like the video. Because I got 1,000 videos now. I don't like to redo videos as far as going back and doing another one the same way. So let's get some more interest here. Let's go down memory lane, see how that goes. Anyways, I was talking about raspberries. I come from a family of self-reliant people. I mean, and I mean, we're not talking just a little vegetable garden out back. We're talking hunting the top of this state to, I won't say the bottom, but from the middle to the top anyways, from east to west, hunting every season that there was, whether it was moose season, deer season, bear season, out of season moose. All the 9 yards. But anyways, I want to talk about the raspberries because it was a fascinating time, and I even look back at it now, and my grandparents were the main people that did it in the family. But they would gather up, my grandmother and grandfather would gather up everything they needed for making raspberry jam. And raspberry jam, if you haven't had any fresh raspberry jam, you are really missing out. And my grandmother made it 100 miles from nowhere. It goes along in the same memory lane we've been talking about for the last 4 videos. You would drive into Canada, up the Canadian border, and then back into the state of Maine. That was deer season, partridge season, fishing season, and raspberry season. And my grandparents would bring up, I mean, we're not talking a few jars of jam. They would go in with 100 pounds of sugar. They would go in with probably 100 jars, I don't know. They went in with everything they needed to use up that 100 pounds of sugar. And whatever else, I think that's all that goes in. I think that's all that goes in. Probably pectin back then. Probably some pectin you put in with the mixture that goes in the jar. And then back then they would wax the top. Now we do a lot of hot water bathing. But I remember, you know, because she always shared the jam. And you'd take off the lid off your canning jar, and there was a layer of wax. They would, after the jam was in the jar, you'd pour in liquid wax, and then that would seal it up, and then put the lid on it, and it was done. And as a kid, we always ate that wax, because that wax tasted just like raspberry jam. But anyways, they would go in with their jars, their sugar, everything needed to put up all that jam. And then outside of that, at the same time, would be... and that's picking. That's why they went in there, because the raspberry, I've always said everybody wants a job, everybody wants a job. Well, you can have a job. every year in July when the raspberries come out, go pick your raspberries. They're free. And that's what they did. My grandfather and grandmother would go, and they picked all over the place. They picked raspberries, they picked blueberries. They would tell me stories of picking blueberries on the St. John River, which is way up at the top of the state. And the blueberry bushes hung down over the riverbanks, and they would ride in the boat and pick blueberries off the bank right straight from the boat. And she talked about big blueberries too. And that's the stuff that they did, through July and August. Then, you got June is your fishing, early June. May is your early fishing. And then after that, for them, was raspberry season, as well as blueberry season. And he had a full garden back at home, big one. We're not talking a few plants. He had a big garden back at home. And then the raspberries and the blueberries was the frosting on the cake at the end of the season. But as a kid, I would watch them put that stuff up. And I don't know of anybody that did that kind of raspberry picking and putting up jam, 100 miles from nowhere here in the state of Maine. But that was something that they did every single year. So this goes along with the old Maine. The old Maine. Like I said, I can't imagine anybody doing that now. And that was just something that everybody did back then. So, but that's the raspberry story from my childhood. And boy, my grandmother, she canned everything and anything under the sun. She would can up, and she probably canned from a little girl on. I know there was stuff down in the canning cellar that was very, very old. So, but anyways, I hope you enjoyed that memory lane from the earlier Maine. Earlier grandparents, but earlier people too. That's a good story of the way Maine people used to be. Well, anyways, have a cup of coffee with me, and I will see you next week. Sit right there. Gonna get my hat.
What? I thought that was Jack's hat.